Up next, we shed light on foreign media coverage of events here in this part of the world. As always, I have Kim Song-yeon in the studio. Song-yeon, it's been a week. Welcome back.
Great to see you, Sunny. So today we have international coverage regarding South Korea's Living with COVID-19 scheme, how that's been unrolling here. Also, North Korea's weapons development and a story on Japan's controversial new history textbooks, as well as inflation expectations in Korea reaching the highest level since 2014. So let's dive right in. The Wall Street Journal says Korea's current COVID-19 wave is the largest that any developed country has experienced, but the country has stopped trying to halt the spread of the virus. Instead, the journal highlighted that Korea is considering downgrading the threat level of COVID-19, with health officials even saying the latest mass outbreak was essential as a matter of fact. Officials added that the recent outbreak was a test of faith for Korea in its bid to categorize COVID-19 as a less severe disease.
Moving forward, Song-yeon, I hear theories are abundant with regard to North Korea's latest intercontinental ballistic missile test, right?
Right, Sunny. A report talks about why it believes North Korea has conducted the ICBM test at this time in particular, highlighting that with the latest test, the North has indeed demonstrated progress in its weapons development as the missile flew higher and further than ever before. The interpreter also mentions that the tested missiles so far provide evidence that the reclusive state's ICBMs can put all of the U.S. within range. It further explains that the timing of the test shows that there are political calculations in play by North Korea. There's belief that the North may have seen a window of opportunity to exploit since the world's attention is mostly focused on the Ukraine crisis right now. Another belief is that the North is taking advantage of the power transition that is taking place in South Korea. And Pyongyang may believe that Seoul is not capable of mounting a sort of firm response as it goes through an internal power shift.
Staying with North Korea, Song-yeon, I believe there is also talk about a possible nuclear test in the near future.
Yes, it's an alarming report. It's saying that some new activities having been spotted, indicating that a nuclear test by North Korea may take place imminently in the near future. So UPI highlights that according to new satellite imagery, increased activity has been seen at North Korea's Punggye-ri nuclear test site, which suggests Pyongyang may be getting ready to conduct its 7th nuclear test. A report by Research Institute Open Nuclear Network, a Vienna-based institute, has said that new developments have been identified at the site since last December, including signs of excavation, construction, and more traffic. An analyst said that such movements show that the North has reactivated some parts of its nuclear weapons test site. Now, Pyongyang had dismantled the Punggye-ri test site in May of 2018 after declaring a freeze on long-range missiles and nuclear tests before the North lifted its self-imposed moratorium by launching an ICBM just last week.
Right, last Thursday, March 24th to be precise. Moving
Yes.
on, Song-yeon, Korea's response to Japan's efforts to whitewash wartime atrocities has also made international headlines.
Yes, Sunny. Seoul says the new textbooks in Japan are distorting facts about Japan's use of forced labor as well as sexual slavery that affected Koreans during the Second World War. Now, UPI writes that the Foreign Ministry here has expressed deep regret over the new textbooks in Japan, which have been approved by Japanese authorities to be used by second and third year high school students starting in the year 2023. The report explains that according to Korean officials, expressions such as forced labor have been watered down and instead described as conscription or mobilization, while references to sex slaves have also been downplayed. UPI further mentions that some historians believe nearly 200,000 girls and women were used as sex slaves by Japan during World War II. In the meantime, the article adds that Seoul also protested against the new textbook's claims on the Dokdo Islands, that the islands are Japanese territory which Korea is occupying illegally.
Song-yeon, finally on the economy, foreign media has also covered public concerns here in the country over inflation.
Right, Sunny. So consumer inflation expectations hit an 8-year high in Korea, particularly with the Ukraine crisis, leading to supply chain disruptions as well as rising energy prices. So Bloomberg said that according to the BOK, price expectations this month accelerated to 2.9%, which is up by 0.2 percentage points compared to a month ago. Bloomberg explained that this outlook puts more pressure on the BOK to rein in inflation as well as break a potential cycle of wage and price increases. The report further pointed out that Korea's central bank is facing the inflation challenge in the middle of a leadership transition, with a new BOK governor having been nominated last week, who has yet to undergo weeks of parliamentary hearings. Meanwhile, Bloomberg also elaborated that Korea is among the developed countries hardest hit by the ripple effects of the war in Ukraine, as the nation relies heavily on imported energy.
All right, Sung-yeon, as always, thank you very much for the coverage.
Thank you for having me.